When Daniel agreed to the date, he already knew it was a bad idea. His friends had that look, the one that said they were trying to help, but also trying not to laugh. A joke date, they called it. Just to get him back out there. Just coffee. Nothing serious. After all, what did a tired single dad of two have to lose? Daniel hadn't been on a date since his wife passed away 3 years ago. Life since then was packed lunches, bedtime stories, overdue bills, and pretending he was okay. Romance wasn't even on the list. Survival was. Still, he showed up. Across the cafe sat a woman named Claire. Simple smile. No phone in her hand. No judgment in her eyes. She looked normal. Calm. And somehow, that made Daniel nervous. The conversation started awkwardly. Weather, kids, work. Daniel almost apologized for being boring. Then Claire asked a question no one ever asked him anymore. "How are you really doing?" Something cracked. Daniel laughed it off at first, but the truth slipped out anyway. About working 2 jobs. About missing school plays. About feeling like he was failing at everything except loving his kids. Claire didn't interrupt. She didn't offer advice. She just listened. Then the waitress brought the bill, and Daniel froze. He'd miscalculated. Again. Before he could say anything, Claire quietly reached for it. But it wasn't the money that stunned him. It was what she said next. "Don't worry," she smiled gently. "This isn't a joke date to me." And in that moment, Daniel realized this night wasn't going the way his friends planned at all. Daniel tried to hide his surprise, but it showed anyway. No one had said something like that to him in years. "This really was supposed to be a joke," he admitted, shaking his head. "My friends thought I needed, I don't know, practice, maybe?" Claire smiled, but there was no amusement in it, only understanding. Sometimes people forget there are real hearts involved. They walked outside together, the evening air cool and quiet. Daniel checked his phone again. A message from his neighbor: "Your son's fever just went up." Panic rushed through him. He apologized for the 3rd time. "I should go. I don't want to ruin your night." Claire stopped walking. "You're not ruining anything," she said gently. "You're being a good father." That simple sentence hit him harder than he expected. No praise at work. No applause at home. Just constant responsibility. And yet, here was a stranger seeing him clearly. At his car, Daniel fumbled with his keys, embarrassed by the chaos of his life spilling out in front of someone he just met. Claire hesitated for a moment, then did something unexpected. She reached into her bag and handed him a small envelope. "It's not money," she said quickly. "It's my number. And the name of a pediatric clinic that helped my sister when she was struggling. They're kind. They don't rush you." Daniel stared at it, speechless. "I'm not trying to save you," Claire added. "Just reminding you that you don't have to do everything alone." For the first time in years, Daniel felt something loosen inside his chest. Not romance. Not hope exactly. Relief. As he drove away, the envelope resting on the passenger seat, Daniel realized something powerful. This night wasn't about dating at all. It was about being seen. And he had no idea how much that would matter in the days to come. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat beside his son's bed, listening to the uneven rhythm of his breathing, replaying the evening over and over in his mind. Not the awkward jokes. Not the coffee. But the way Claire had looked at him, like he wasn't broken, or behind, or barely holding things together. Just human. The fever finally broke near sunrise. Relief washed over Daniel so strongly he had to step into the hallway and breathe. That's when he noticed the envelope still in his jacket pocket. He hesitated before opening it again. Inside was her number, and a short note he hadn't seen before. "You're doing better than you think." Daniel sat on the stairs and stared at those words. No one had told him that since his wife died. Everyone assumed strength meant silence. Later that day, between laundry and work calls, Daniel did something he hadn't planned on doing. He texted her. Just 2 words, thank you. Her reply came minutes later. Anytime. How's your son? That simple check-in turned into a conversation. Then another. Over the next few days, messages became voice notes. Voice notes became laughter. There was no pressure. No expectations. Just space to breathe. One afternoon, Claire admitted something of her own. I almost didn't come on that date, she said. I'd been set up before. People treat it like entertainment. But I promised myself I'd show up honestly, even if it was just for one coffee. Daniel understood that more than she knew. A week later, his friends joked about how badly the prank must have gone. Daniel surprised them. It didn't fail, he said quietly. It reminded me who I am. That night, after tucking his kids into bed, Daniel realized the loneliness that had followed him for years wasn't gone, but it was lighter. Because kindness, when it's real, doesn't disappear after one evening. It stays. And it waits for the right moment to grow. 2 weeks later, Daniel's world tilted again. His employer called him into the office. Budget cuts, restructuring, apologies that sounded practiced. By the time he walked out, his job was gone. Just like that. He sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at nothing. Rent was due. School fees were coming. And for the first time since his wife passed away, the fear felt bigger than his strength. Without thinking, Daniel called Claire. I'm sorry, he said as soon as she answered. I didn't mean to dump this on you. I just didn't know who else to call. There was a pause. Then her voice, steady, calm. You didn't dump anything. Where are you? They met at the same cafe. Daniel expected sympathy. Maybe advice. What he didn't expect was what Claire did next. She listened. Fully. When he finished, she reached across the table and placed a folded paper in front of him. It's not a loan, she said quickly. It's a referral. My company's hiring. Flexible hours. Good benefits. I already talked to them. Daniel's throat tightened. You barely know me. Claire smiled softly. I know enough. I know you show up. I know you care. And I know you'd do the same if you could. Something inside Daniel broke open. No grand speeches. No dramatic tears. Just 2 people sitting quietly while hope returned to a place it hadn't visited in a long time. Weeks later, Daniel got the job. On his first day, he texted Claire a photo of his badge. Her reply came instantly. Proud of you. That night, Daniel watched his kids sleeping and understood something profound. Kindness isn't about rescuing someone. It's about standing beside them until they remember how to stand again. And this time, he wasn't standing alone. Months passed, and life didn't suddenly become perfect. Bills still arrived. Mornings were still rushed. The kids still argued over cereal. But something fundamental had changed. Daniel no longer felt invisible inside his own life. Claire became a steady presence, not as a fairy tale rescue, but as a reminder. They took things slowly. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into quiet dinners with laughter echoing through the apartment. The kids adored her, not because she tried to replace anyone, but because she showed up exactly as herself. One evening, Daniel finally told her the full truth. You know this all started as a joke, right? Claire laughed softly. I figured. He shook his head. I almost didn't come. I was tired of being the punchline. The struggling dad. The sad story. Claire looked at him and said something he would never forget. Kindness isn't a joke, she said. And neither are you. That was the moment Daniel understood the real twist of the story. The surprise wasn't romance. It wasn't the job. It wasn't even the help. It was the way one simple act of humanity had changed the direction of so many lives. His friends had planned a prank. What happened instead was a lesson. That showing up matters. That listening can save someone. That a single moment of compassion can echo for years. Sometimes the world tries to turn pain into entertainment. But every once in a while, someone refuses to play along. And when they do, they remind us of who we are capable of being. That night, as Daniel turned off the lights and closed the door behind him, he smiled, not because everything was solved, but because hope had found its way back home. And it all began with a date that was never meant to be serious. Until it became something real.